Hello everybody, I am Old Tono, and welcome back to another video. Today I am here with this guy above me, Famsalad. Make sure you subscribe to
I
him if he ever posts content again.
I steal babies from the nursing hospital and I put them in my soup.
So anyways, today what we're doing is we're doing a Star Wars Visions tier list because we're obsessed with Star Wars and we wanted to do something Star Wars. And what better to do with the recently Star Wars Visions that came out like last week, right? Yeah, anyway. So we're going to be doing a tier list, and so how this is going to be formatted is I'll read the title, I'll read the description of each episode that we got here on Disney Plus, and then we'll rank it and tell everyone why we ranked it that. So, lettuce and tomatoes begin.
Fucking you're gonna say tomatoes.
So, the first episode we got here is The Duel. And we both know that we gave it a compromise to A.
I gotta say, I gotta give my reasonings for putting it. Wait, hold on. Read the
Uh,
description.
this happened last time. A wandering
Yeah,
stranger with a mysterious past defends a village from powerful bandits. There you go.
I gotta say that it was a nice episode. It was well choreographed. I fucking loved the fight scene. It was a little confusing, not necessarily, and it did a little bit of world building, but it didn't justify the duel part of the duel. It was really fucking cool when they were clashing lightsabers, and the only reason why I don't put it at an S tier is because it needs more time. It needed more time than a 15-minute episode because it wasn't getting by on a satisfactory narrative that the story deserves. And as a result, I'm going to have to put it at B tier just because of the choreography and everything else was cool. It didn't have the meat to the bones of the story.
Yeah, personally, I'll agree with you that it probably needed more time. But the reason I would have put it in S tier is because we got exactly what we came for. Everything is on par, everything is perfect, and it also does really cool characterization without actually saying stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much why we have it on A tier. Next, we have Tatooine Rhapsody, which we also put at F. And
Description.
tattoo, yeah, that's what I was getting to. A band with big dreams must save one of their own from Jabba the Hutt and Boba Fett.
The entire point of the story was to talk about music and in the galaxy and explore that kind of area. But they went into it with completely no creativity. It just ends up being another one of those fucking music stories where the Babu Boopy and the heroes sing and they do their little fucking rain dance and then everybody loves them. And it's not even a good story. It's not even a good song at that. I would be at least a little fine with the shitty story if the music wasn't so terrible. Or I gotta say, just because it's cringe doesn't make it the worst episode. There's some things that I really enjoy, like Boba Fett being fucking awesome, like normal, and that was exciting. But at the end of the day, it didn't feel like Star Wars. The music that they used was bad, and it made me cringe. The the overall execution of everything was very lackluster, and for those reasons, I gotta put it in F.
For me, I would have put this in die tier, only because the only redeeming quality about this is Boba Fett, at least to me. But the song's cringe. It did not deserve the praise it did. It does not explore the Star Wars universe in a good way, and it's
Or at
taken from the
all.
completely wrong angle. It seems exactly like a fan fiction,
Yeah, no.
and that's the worst part because this is supposed to feel like authentic Star Wars, but just in the style of anime, and this did not do that. I'm sad to say, F tier,
There was nothing fucking Star Warsy about that episode.
except for Boba Fett and Jabba.
Yeah, the only part where they could make it like remotely Star Wars was at having the main character have a lightsaber, and they even fucked that up. It's just a mic, dude. God damn.
Next one is the twins. Twins born into the dark side clash aboard a massive star destroyer. Now
I gotta.
this, for both of us, we put it at what was it?
It was F. It was another F tier.
Oh yeah, it was F tier.
I would have personally put it at die because there is not one fucking thing that this story does right. It copies so much off of Star Wars, and it still manages to feel nothing like Star Wars. Legitimately, everything fucking sucked about it. It was like this team misunderstood the prompt initially and tried just summarizing all three movies from the original trilogy into one fucking 15-minute episode that was poorly written, and it introduced nothing to Star Wars. Absolutely fucking nothing. And what it did introduce was absolute garbage. The action was lackluster. The lightsabers were lackluster. The story, as everything else, was fucking lackluster. I fucking hated every part of this. I hated the rip-off Luke Skywalker. I hate the goddamn rip-off uh, Darth Vader armor. I hate, despise with a passion R2. And to wrap all of this shit sandwich up in a nice tidy bow, I could not stand when they said I got a bad feeling about this. It was just a fucking disgrace to me. Um,
I feel like that episode was just trying to figure out how many lightsabers they could fit onto one villain.
yeah, I got fucking. My phone died in the middle of this. In the middle of this episode, because I was watching it on Disney Plus on my phone. I was thinking, man, thank fucking God I have a break from this, and I could just take a moment to just sit back and think about my life choices while my phone charges, which is the worst possible reaction you can get from somebody not stopping the story. That is the worst possible reaction that you can get, and it is completely justified.
For real. Like, lightsaber extendo made no sense. The physics made no sense. The characters should be dead for for trying to breathe in outer space because that's not how the Force works, as to quote Han Solo. And just everything was a ripoff. Everything. The only thing that I thought was cool was that they brought Red Force Lightning back. That's it. That's legit it. Nothing else was good.
Felt like you got the original trilogy at like a great value store.
we Hey
It
mom, I want to
really
watch
felt
the
like.
original trilogy of Star Wars. We have the original trilogy at home. The original trilogy at home.
It's freaking. Not to bring tarnish the name of great value, but like, what the fuck is this?
Okay. But yeah, like it just didn't feel right at all. So F tier, there you go. Have a nice time, twins, because we won't miss you.
Fucking place. Trash.
The Village Bride, didn't we decide on A tier as well?
Yes, I gotta say. This
Jedi
has
on the Run takes the unique customs of a remote village under threat by a warlord.
I had to put this at an S tier because this was my absolute favorite. It summarize it is Star Wars. Star Wars, in my opinion, isn't great for the lightsabers and the Bob and it's great for the world building that it does, and Star Wars is also great for the connections that it makes with other characters. Star Wars without the aspect of Darth Vader's being Luke's father or Leia being sisters or Grogu being the adopted child of Din Djarin. Star Wars is all about family, and when you put it back into this initial perspective, it feels like Star Wars without a lightsaber being drawn until the final few seconds. It took what needed to be done, and it did it beautifully. It doesn't feel like Star Wars at the start, and I am 1000% fine with that because it showed the viewer the world that they were working with and the interactions of people before it started to feel like Star Wars. And at that initial moment, that is what Star Wars is and is supposed to be.
Yeah, that's where me and you differ because I completely agree. It does not feel like Star Wars in like the first half, and that's why I think it's not as good as it could have been. Which, but that doesn't really devalue the thing as a whole. Just because it doesn't feel like Star Wars doesn't mean that it's not a good story or that it shouldn't belong in high tier, which is why I gave it a B tier because it's still a good story even though it doesn't feel like Star Wars in the beginning. If it did feel like Star Wars, to me, that would get an S tier immediately, which is why I gave it a B tier because it didn't feel like Star Wars. And it not feeling like Star Wars is what makes it S tier for Hunter and B tier for me, which is why we compromised with an A tier because A tier. It is such a dynamic story that it just really makes you think. It really does. It's interesting and it world builds and it does everything correctly in the way that it needs to be. So yeah, nice A tier we got here. The next story we have is the Ninth Jedi. The daughter of a lightsaber smith is pursued by dark forces while on a dangerous mission. This, I think, would go in A tier, and Hunter agreed with me on this one as well.
I entirely agree that it belongs in A tier because there's a lot of fucking A's, aren't they? But this is such an interesting story because it bends the rules of Star Wars, but it doesn't break it. Much like the creation of the dark saber, it is completely different from what Star Wars initially is, but it doesn't break the immersion and it doesn't break the story. It's set so far into the future in an era where nobody has explored yet, which was the most fascinating part of that because we've explored all the way back to the first Jedi and the first Sith and the first lightsaber and the first this and that and this and that. But now we're going so far into the future that everything feels entirely different, but it feels like the same old Star Wars.
Yeah, it bends how everything is and the physics of Star Wars to the point where it doesn't break immersion at all. It feels like Star Wars. It's in the future, and it makes sense. There's less kyber because there's less lightsabers. There's little to no Jedi at this point, and all the kyber that is used is gone. And in that episode, it revolves around kyber and, well, Jedi. But it comes together in such a nice way that it gives us good character, a good villain, a good setup to a story. Like, if they were to continue that as a
They
show
easily
of
could,
its
yeah.
own, it probably could. It probably
Yeah, they
could.
easily could. This is one of the few things that I really, really wanted to see more of. If I could come back day after day after day after day to see this story blossom and develop into something as large as the Clone Wars, I would keep coming back every single week and to sit my butt in this seat and watch Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that would make a great show. And that's kind of what we're looking here for. Uh, the only the only reason it doesn't get an S tier for me personally is just the fact that it didn't last longer.
It didn't last longer. It was so short.
It was 22 minutes, but it should have been longer.
Much like the Duel. Much like the Duel. It would have gotten a much higher score if they were given a longer time frame to work with.
Yes. And here we get into the stuff that we didn't decide on yet. And here's the next of one of my least favorite episodes. T0B1.
God.
Honestly,
Instantaneous die. Put it in
it,
die. Keep it there. Lock it up in Alcatraz. Put Alcatraz in the bottom of the ocean. And then put the ocean on the moon.
you know it's a bad episode whenever Hunter hates the idea of a force sensitive robot. Because he loves force sensitive machines.
Oh yeah, Force sensitive games were fucking awesome. Like that original theory of that one astromech that was force sensitive that it exploded itself on the original trilogy, so R2 could finish his mission.
Exactly. But like this does Star Wars, but it does it so wrong.
It does everything so fucking wrong. Everything is so ham-fisted. There's I think there's a child voice actor.
Yeah.
I'm also 90% sure that the story was written by a child because God, this is horrible. It felt like
Plot
it
armor
felt
much?
like well, yeah, it felt like a fucking caricature of Star Wars. It was every single child, like 3-year-old child's dream of becoming a Jedi. Like, I want to be a Jedi. I'm a Jedi now. I'm doing Jedi things. I defeat the Vader with the power part of it. It was so stupid. They don't give a reason for fucking anything. They don't give a reason for the droid being force sensitive. They don't give a reason for the old man being on a fucking desolate wasteland. They don't give a reason for fuck all. I did not feel a thing when he was dying. I was hoping that they all died. I was furious with that one.
I I was watching this episode, and whenever one of the droids got shot, I legit clapped and yelled yes. I I had so much disrespect for these characters. I do not like them at all. And talk about a Gary Stu. This character is the worst character in maybe all of Star Wars. Maybe
Oh
even the
yeah,
worst version of Rey, which we already think is a terrible character. And this just says something because, like, they defeat a Jedi killer on their first attempt after barely learning that they're force sensitive and barely wielding a lightsaber for the very first time. That don't make no sense.
I learned that they were a Jedi like fucking 2 seconds ago, which still doesn't make sense, by the way. I was thinking they were gonna fucking explain why the droid is force sensitive and then the show went halfway through. Then from then on, it just kept getting more and more pessimistic to the point where I just realized they weren't gonna they weren't gonna explain fucking
Also,
anything.
I realized I never read the description. I don't want to, but I'll have to. A cybernetic boy who dreams of being a Jedi discovers a dangerous truth about his creator. Is it really a dangerous truth, though? Is it? Is it? They couldn't even summarize it. It was just that bad.
They summarized it so they summarized it so well and so horribly at the same fucking time.
Yeah.
Like it was literally
It's
take your take a child and then have him write a story about wanting to be a Jedi, and it will do exactly that. It was legitimately written by like a 5-year old that just learned how to write. It felt it felt exactly like the delusions of a child. I am not lying when I say that, and I mean that in the worst way possible.
yeah.
Also,
I
you're not streaming the
I am.
fucking. No, you're not.
You're just not in the stream.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but yeah, absolute garbage. Let's move on to
Bart,
possibly the best episode in my opinion, The Elder. A Jedi and his Padawan pursue a dark and powerful presence. I love this episode. It is
I
my
got
favorite
S.
thing about Yes.
We gotta put it in S. We have to put it in S.
It's S tier. It has everything. It feels like Star Wars. It feels amazing. Everything is great about it. The world building, the characterization, the villain, just everything is good. It feels like Star Wars. It feels like it's world building, and it doesn't really bend the physics of the Force. It just adds on to it.
Everything that was in this was fucking fantastic. You could tell that the people that made this story love Star Wars. And I know exactly how. When the old man was firing force lightning from his fingy tips, you can tell that it's slightly purple in tint, which is interesting because that's how you define how powerful force lightning is by how dark the blue is or how close to purple it is. So I was sitting here and I was looking at this one added detail, and I'm like, God damn, these people know what they're doing. They know what story they're writing. They know how to write. It was beautiful.
Everything's just mastered so perfectly. It's and there's so many minor details that you can look at and you'll see even more and more that's just more and more beautiful. And I even put context into that story to make it seem like it's a more plausible story that can actually happen in canon or legends. And that head canon is that that's the final Sith that they encounter before like the 100 years between the last Sith and Episode 1.
My what I'm thinking is they encounter it slightly before Palpatine was born. Slightly before Palpatine was born. Now that's not the 100-year gap, but if you'll notice, he says he's not a Sith in the story. He says
That's true.
that he is no longer a Sith and that the Sith died out because they all killed each other. Which means that this is the most plausible story to fit into Star Wars, along with all of the wonderful writing and the beautiful art they had here. the fucking animation was fucking beautiful. I loved
It was
every
amazing.
second I was staring at the screen.
I that's probably the episode I paid the most attention to because it's just so well crafted, so beautiful. It's S plus tier if we had
But we don't, so we put it at S.
it.
A is S tier, S is S plus tier. Let's fucking be honest here.
And then next we have Lop and Ocho. A family is torn about what to do when the Empire encroaches on their planet.
I gotta put this at a
Honest,
B.
yeah, I'll agree with you completely.
High C.
Oh wait, wrong picture. Here,
That's the wrong one.
but yeah,
Yeah,
this is I give this a higher tier, like a high B, because
yeah,
it's not a human main character. Because the
yeah.
main theme with all of these episodes, except for that one, and teaser will be one, but we don't care about that one, is that
Don't fucking talk
all of
about that one.
the all of the main characters are humans. And if there's one thing that we kind of don't want in Star Wars is only humans to be the main characters. That tends to be the theme, but unless it's specifically required, it shouldn't be the case. It just shouldn't. And
Mm.
that's what I like about this. And it's also a well set up story. Like this is another one that I'd probably watch a TV show about. Granted, I wouldn't pay as much attention to it as, say, the Ninth Jedi, but
Mm.
I would watch that if that were turned into a TV show.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about all of the things that I like about this, and then all of the things that I didn't like as much. Now, this is a wonderful show. That's why it belongs in B tier. The fucking animation was fluid. The main character might everyone fucking calls a furry, but I personally see no problem with it because they went in an entirely new direction and they went somewhere interesting with it. They showed the trials and tribulations of being not completely human. They took that specific main character and they turned it into something that was it wasn't ham fisted and it wasn't an alien for fucking no reason. As it could be an alien for fucking no reason, and I would have no problem with that. But the fact that they made a story that was specifically the hard part about being an alien during Empire times, that was an interesting part.
Also, I just
Uh,
want to say that human furry people, cat girls, whatever you want to say, has been around ever since KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic era's stuff. Anyways, back to what you're saying.
Now, all of this is great, and I love fucking most of it. But I gotta talk about the stuff that I didn't like as much. The lightsaber. The lightsaber wasn't explained very well, and the story wasn't as intriguing. And it feels like they didn't do as good of a job explaining the world. I gotta keep. I can't. I hate ranting constantly about like the world building, but that is one of the main compartments of making one of these stories. If you don't have proper world building, then it kind of loses the magic of what Star Wars is. But all of this is kind of just a footnote in what this story actually accomplishes. I love most of the story. I love most of the story. It's fucking fantastic from beginning to end. But for the problems that it has, I cannot put it in A or S tier.
I feel like this is another case of if it went on longer, then there'd be more stuff.
And I feel like it's very depressing because I know that Disney only did is probably only doing this as a one-time thing in order to get into the anime community and in order to show their diversity in culture. And I feel like none of these different writing companies and animating companies won't have as much of a chance to shine. I won't get to see Flock again, and I won't get to see fucking lightsaber make robot face again. Not the one in Die. I'm talking about the one in the future. The future one that I said was very interesting. We won't get to see. I don't think we'll get to see these stories again, and that's the most heartbreaking part about this. I cannot be as fair as I want to be because of the small limit, and because the limitation of time that Disney has given these companies.
Yeah, I feel the same, and I'll probably elaborate more once we get to the end of this tier list on what I think of the show overall and Disney as a company making this. But for now, enjoy your spot at B tier. I will salute you for that one. And final episode, Akakiri. I will place this as a C tier. How about what do you
Yeah,
think?
I was gonna say C low B. So yeah, put that in
And
C.
oh wait, a Jedi returns to his forbidden love to help defend her kingdom from a Sith-like shogun. And the only reason I give this a C tier is because it has so many similarities to the prequel trilogy and Anakin's fall to the dark side.
I was going to say that exact fucking thing. Now it does a lot of things that the twins does. It takes fucking a ton from those stories. And even the droids in those two people that were following them. There were a lot of like similarities and things that were kind of stolen, but it doesn't grab it and just jingle it around. It doesn't ruin that for me. It doesn't change what that was to me. It doesn't blatantly rip it off because it introduces a lot of ideas in itself. But because of the lack of originality, in my opinion, it has to be put at C tier. I can't. I,
I completely agree. Also, every single one of these episodes has the good guy win, and that's the only one where the villain wins. So I gotta say, that's pretty good.
pretty
also, they actually
spicy.
also they actually revive the person they're trying to revive. So there's that.
Yeah, fucking Anakin, what a loser.
Yeah, well, loser, Anakin. Did you know
You
all you
can't
had to
bring your
do was
dead wife.
leave?
So sad. You can't save your wife that you choked to death and then she died of sadness. Oh no, this guy. This guy is an alpha, man. He fucking.
This one I would watch as a TV show only if it was a bit more original.
Oh yeah, it was good. I loved a lot of it. It was really great, but it just felt like I was watching the prequel trilogy again.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking the entire time, like this motherfucker even looks like Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, it was hilarious how similar things were. But what really sold it was the world building, the characterization, and, well, the choreography in the fights. Because all that was really good, really well built,
Agreed, agreed.
even if it was based off of something else. But yeah, there we go. We have all our episodes on a tier list. Uh, Comment down below what you guys think you would have on our tier list. And here we're going to go into our final analysis of Star Wars Visions. Starting with you, Hunter. What do you overall think about Star Wars Visions and Disney as a whole making this show?
I am going to be honest. My initial thought was this is going to fucking suck. And I gotta say, my analysis was very true. I noticed that a lot of these were different fucking stories, and I noticed that a lot of them are going to suck. A lot more were good, though. I thought it was going to be like 75% was bad, and then there's just that little bit that was good. A lot more was good about this, but I feel like that just makes it more tragic because they will never revisit these again. I am so fucking heartbroken that I will never get to see these characters that I fell in love with because Disney won't come back and they won't revisit them.
Maybe Disney will revisit them if they realize they could get a lot of money off of it.
Just saying.
Maybe. But I don't know. It was a one time thing. It was 30 minutes of enjoyment for each episode. Uh, Well, except for the ones at F and below, those suck a dick. I hope that they explode and die. But yeah, I just gotta say, I'm heartbroken. I will not be able to see those characters that I fell in love with initially. I will never get to see those worlds again because Disney.
Yeah, I feel very similar. At the very beginning of watching this, I saw the duel. I was just like, "Oh, this is actually way better than I thought it would be." And then I saw the second episode, and that really sums up my whole experience. The first two episodes and my reactions and ideas of how good they are really simulates what this is to me, because personally I would put the duel in S tier and I would put that band episode in die tier. That's just my opinion, but this is actually what it just feels like to me. It feels good. The art style is pretty good depending on the episode for me. And
Except
some of
for
the
Die, that
stories
was fired.
and a lot of the stories were actually really good. Really well built stories except for one or three of them. And yeah, overall, it was way better than I originally thought it would be. I went into this not thinking about anything. I had no expectations whatsoever. So whenever I went through this whole series, I I finally figured out, yeah, it's pretty good.
Wait a minute, I didn't even describe fucking the one with Lop. If you love anime, if anime is your fucking favorite, go watch that one because it feels the most anime inspired out of fucking all of these. So, with that closing note, I suppose this is the end of the video.
Yeah. Make sure y'all, any of you comment down below. What do you think? Should we have changed our ranking of these episodes? Should we have done something different? Do you guys have a completely different opinion? Just make sure to comment down below because I'd really love to see what you guys think about this. And, yeah, that's kind of all we have for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this, make sure to leave a like. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Subscribe to Famsalad. Subscribe to me if you would like to. And we will see you all next time.
Bye, guys.